Okay, so we'll do a brief little intro and then we're going to turn the lights off so you can see the slides a little bit better because we've used a lot of different colors throughout the slides and there's some different videos and whatnot. So my name is Katherine White. I'm the Director of Marketing for LEDA and Visit Lubbock.
And I'm Jillian. I'm the Social Media Coordinator for LEDA.
So we're going to go through a small business guide to marketing. You have the one-pagers in front of you. The QR code gives you the presentation, so you can check that out whenever you want to refer back to it. And obviously, this is not an exhaustive list to your marketing efforts for your small business. This is just a really quick kind of taste for some website stuff, SEO, and content. So I'll turn it off.
So here's just a few of the things we're going to kind of go over. We'll give a little more information about us, about LEDA. We'll go into some stuff about website, SEO, media and public relations, and then end with social media.
Yeah, so not to spend too much time or bore you guys too much with my background, but I'm originally from Rockwall, Texas. I came to Texas Tech, got my degree in journalism, and then got a master's in mass communications, and ended up working with Visit Lubbock doing sales, and then moved into media relations with Visit Lubbock and LEDA, and I've been there about 9 years, so I've had the pleasure of working with the team for a while, and really love what I do. So.
And I'm Jillian. I am originally from Albany, Texas. It's right outside of Abilene. I came for school here at Tech and graduated with public relations, and this is my first big girl job. So I've been working here a little over 2 years now. So forget I have to click this button.
A little bit about LEDA. Some of you in here know us pretty well. But anyway, so this is our Economic Development Office. So our duty is to improve the economic wealth and vitality of Lubbock. So we do that through business recruitment, which is basically essentially recruiting businesses to come and invest money here, bring their resources here, and bring their people here. An example of that is Leprino Foods, if you've heard of that announcement, and that is an announcement we give often because it is so well known. We also do business retention efforts, so that's if you think about those companies that we have here, those industries that we have here, we don't want them to leave. So we don't want them to be unhappy and dissatisfied and decide to move that investment somewhere else. And so we have someone who handles our business retention efforts, and we also do workforce development. So that could be anything from helping with job fairs, helping with grants for skills for workers, marketing efforts to get people to move back or get people to stay here. There's a variety of things that we do through our workforce efforts. And then another person on our team is kind of a quasi-Market Lubbock individual who is the director of downtown. So he manages our downtown grants, which help revitalize downtown. It's a very quick synopsis of LEDA. Do you want to talk about some of our marketing stuff?
So for marketing, we have a lot of fun initiatives. Like Katherine said, we hit on business recruitment and retention, but we also hit a lot on quality of life. One thing we want is for people to love Lubbock and want to stay here, work here, live here, start their business here, all the good things. So that's one of our main efforts with some of our social media platforms. We also have a fun blog where we tell people's stories. So people's small business stories, why people decided to move to Lubbock, or maybe why they grew up here, moved away, and then why they decided to move back. So we tell those stories in our blog. We just launched an events page, which I'm really excited about because, as to my knowledge, there's not like a hub for really finding your community in Lubbock. So like if you are new to Lubbock and you want to, try to join a book club, or you want to know when trivia night is at Two Docks, like there's not like an overall arching events page for that. And so we've created that now. It's very new, but we are encouraging all small businesses to submit their events, whether it's like you're having a pop-up event, or like Odds and Ends did a really fun Chilton Day last weekend. So that's kind of our events page. And then the last thing we have is our jobs page. People can submit any open position that you have at your business here in Lubbock, and it'll be featured on our jobs page, which is one of the most visited sites on our website. When I was looking for a job right outside of college, I was on that page all the time, and then coincidentally started working
We reached
here.
out and asked her.
So it definitely, people do see that page. So if you do have an open position, I highly encourage that you submit that. And since you have the link to this, I've placed all the links to all those, and those are clickable. So those are all there, so don't panic.
Okay, so like I mentioned, we're not going to talk about absolutely everything, but we're just going to give you a taste of some of the things that you should be considering with your small business. So obviously website is kind of one of the first things. So this is the first touch point with your audience. It's where they learn who you are. You want to make it visually appealing, user-friendly, and aligned with your messaging. There's a lot of different integrations we'll talk about here in a second that you can incorporate, but you want to make sure that you're proofing it for any spelling issues. You want to make sure that whatever it is you want people to know about you, it's right there whenever they land on the page, and it's easy to understand. You don't want especially the home page, you don't want it to be too many scrolls down, because obviously you want it to be, come on in. You want it to be pretty concise and easily navigable. So you want to make sure that you may have, like us, what we sometimes lovingly joke as an encyclopedia. Our CEO has a lot of information that some people are very familiar with, but he has a lot of information he wants to share, and we have a lot of different audiences, and so it just makes sense that our nav bar is probably a little bit heavier than maybe what another small business nav bar would be, but you just want to understand who your audience is, what you want to tell them, how you can organize it in a way that it's easy for them to find that information. And obviously it goes without saying, but contact information, making sure it's accurate, making sure your business hours are accurate, and all of that. Creating a funnel. So again, it's just thinking of what are the calls to action. So what is it that you want this person to do when they land on your website? What do you want them to know? And then what action do you want them to take? And then making it easy for them to make that action. So maybe it's signing up for an e-newsletter, following you on social, filling out some type of form, whatever that might be. You want to consider seamless integration and how it improves your time on site. So you want to make sure that, again, with your navigation bar and any other integrated component to your website, whether it be a crowd riff gallery, so like a photo gallery, or a video on your site, you want to make sure that all of those things are operating appropriately, because if they aren't, that's going to affect your time on site, meaning the time that a user is spending on your website. And then make sure you're using cross promotion. So this is something that's really important to us. We try to make sure that whatever we're talking about on social media is implemented or reflected somewhere on the website in some way, because you're obviously kind of giving a nod to each platform that you have to basically get some user to kind of continue to engage with you. So they might see you on social and start engaging with you there. And on social, you may have a reel for a blog that you have on your website that you want them to go read more about. So it's just all about creating that synergy of transferring that user from one platform to another, not losing them, basically, trying to get them to continually engage with you. Here, I can go there next. Google. Okay, so SEO. So SEO stands for search engine optimization. So one example I like to give, specifically the example I have here actually, is if someone is living in the DFW area and they think, I've heard a lot about Lubbock, or I have a friend that just moved back to Lubbock, they're from Lubbock and they just decided to get a job and go back to the hub city. What is the quality of life in Lubbock like? And just like all of us, we all go to Google, right? And we Google quality of life in Lubbock. Or another example would be best tacos in Lubbock, and you Google best tacos in Lubbock. You guys might be familiar with this, but if you're not, whenever you Google that, there's options, I guess you could say. So the first thing we could talk about is SEM, which is search engine marketing. So that's the sponsored content that you see when you first Google something. Someone paid to have that spot to be suggested as an option that you might want to click and engage with. Another option is SEO, which is search engine optimization. So that's basically having clout, if you will. So in the example of quality of life, if Google sees that someone has interacted with our quality of life page and they've stayed on our page a long time, or they've, it has a number of clicks to it, people, according to Google, seem to really value that page. What Google will do will score you high and suggest you in content. So whenever someone Googles that, or in the example of best tacos in Lubbock, if according to Google, we have a lot of clicks to our blog on Visit Lubbock's page for that, it's gonna say, hey, this person, which again, Google's just trying to please you, right? They want you to use Google, they want you to continue searching on Google, and they wanna be the expert in information for you. So they're gonna serve you that. So that's where you'll see sponsored or paid placement, and then you'll see kind of more suggestive stuff. Now, Google always loves to throw interesting things at us in marketing. So you may notice there's an AI overview now. So that's basically like an automated search. So now Google is trying to be its own answer to everything. And basically what happens is Google searches the web and pulls information from our site and suggests it to the user as information. That's not really something you have to worry about, but just so you know, that is kind of a component that Google is trying to get people to stay on Google as long as they possibly can. So that is something that, again, is another hurdle. But in regards to SEO, you want to make sure you're using the appropriate keywords. So basically how Google knows that is that when it lands, when someone lands on your page, there's keywords associated with whatever they're searching that are on that page that help suggest that page, if that makes sense. So you want to make sure that you're using great keywords. You want to make sure, I'm skipping down to 3, but you want to make sure that your links that are on your pages are accurate and they're not broken links. Google doesn't like broken links. So if you have pages that the links go to things that are no longer live, or will create an error 404 or something like that, you're going to get lower scores for that. So you just want to make sure you have accurate information. You're using appropriate links. A lot of the times, just in regards to like titles of blogs or maybe even titles on pages, we love to use like creative titles for things. But more often than not, using those basic keywords are better because it's easier for Google to know what the content is and to pull it. So I'm trying to think of an example, but if you're thinking like in the quality of life example, if you use phrases that are not quality of life, like it's great living in Lubbock, or you don't use the phrase quality of life in your blog or on your page, Google's not going to know that whenever someone's searching for quality of life, that you're talking about quality of life, you're just saying it in an odd way. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. And then undiscover insights about your audience. So we all think we know who our audience is, right? We all have kind of those audience groups that we go after, but you may not know some undiscovered groups that might be visiting your website. So SEO, meaning the words that people are engaging with often. So for us, jobs is huge. People type in jobs in Lubbock, keywords, things to do in Lubbock is a big visitor for LEDA's website. Economic development, obviously. So you have these keywords that you're able to know, optimize, and then you'll notice kind of those words that are coming in that you maybe weren't familiar with as to you being an expert in them. So basically just understanding your audience and knowing kind of who it is that's visiting your site that you may not know about. I'm trying to move fast because she's got so much good content that I want to get to. The last thing would be media and public relations. Again, some of this may be information you guys are pretty familiar with, but if you're not, here's a little bit of a breakdown. So with the media, you want to identify the media landscape. It sounds silly, but it's really not. Introduce yourself to the media. You'd be surprised how many people actually go and meet with the media. Maybe during the holiday times, we do PR where we bring cookies to the media, where we go see them, say hi to the news director. That way they just know the point of contact for that entity. I can't tell you how many times, if you provide yourself as a resource for them, maybe you aren't able to give the quote, but maybe they come to you and they have an idea for a story and they're saying, hey, can I get your CEO quoted on this? And you're like, that's really not our thing. Or if you're a small business and they're asking you to do something, you're like, that's really not my vein, but hey, you know what? You should talk to them. Obviously, they may not take that pitch every time, or they may not take that suggestive every time, but I can tell you, they appreciate that because they're needing to get that story, right? They're needing to go get the interviews and get the story by the 6 p.m. and it's probably 11 a.m. And so if you're able to help and provide yourself as a resource for them, that's how you make good relationships. So newsworthy. So seeking to inform them with relevant information. So it doesn't necessarily mean, even being a small business, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have huge hitting news, but just thinking in the context of the calendar or what's coming up. Maybe you're having your 5-year anniversary or something like that for your business that you can just let them know about. But essentially, what I'm suggesting is maybe don't go about it from the aspect of, oh, hey, we have a sale going on. Information that's not pertinent to them that they can't use. If you're someone who's constantly suggesting content that is helpful, that is, oh, hey, they thought through this. Yes, it is Small Business Week, and they are a small business. And they're offering themselves as someone I could talk to about that. Just thinking through kind of what are the hoops they have to jump through, what are the things they need to get their job done successfully, and how can you be a resource for that? And thinking through, again, what's newsworthy? What would make sense to be on the news? And then go live. So this is one thing that maybe me as being a millennial seemed like intimidating a little bit, the idea of going live as the entity yourself. But this is going to kick off Jillian's presentation for our social media efforts. But you really can be your own voice now. Social media has really kind of changed the game in that a lot of people consume media still with traditional media, but social media is a platform that you really need to approach in regards to being your own advocate for the public. And so going live for your announcements, or if it's something that maybe wouldn't fit for press, like a special sale or something, or benefit that's coming from some of the sales that you have or whatnot, maybe go live and just be concise in the live and know what you want to say and have a plan on how long it's going to be, and go about it like that and approach the events and announcements and product reveals maybe from that perspective. So, okay. You just look at me and give me a little nod,
Okay.
and I'll come click it.
Okay, so as y'all probably know, there's a ton of channels for social media, and it can be super overwhelming. How many people in this room do social media for your company? Okay. How many people post personally? Okay, so pretty much everybody, knows about social media. And I feel like it's kind of widely known that social platforms do have different audiences, but I truly try to tailor our content to that specific audience per channel. So I put up here, the average age range per channel, which some of them kind of surprised me, honestly. So definitely take that into consideration. As a small business, if you don't have a full team, or even if just it's overwhelming. It's my full-time job, and it's insanely overwhelming to post on all of these things, and some of them don't get a ton of engagement. So my personal recommendation is to choose 1 to 3 of these platforms that hit kind of the age range that you're wanting to hit, right? So if you're wanting to bring in, college kids, but you're also wanting to bring in, a mom or a dad that is in their 50s, or even grandparents in their 60s, be strategic about which platforms you choose. My personal recommendation, if I were to just pick 3, I would definitely do Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, because I feel like you hit everybody with that. You hit kind of your older generation, you hit the younger people, and then TikTok, I feel like that age range is just so wide, you hit everybody.
TikTok, random fact, TikTok has been competing with Google in regards to search.
Yes.
People are using TikTok to search more than Google at times.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
personally do it too.
competing.
I get on there and I'm like, what is a good recipe for this? And then 14 videos come up, but if I search on Google, it's gonna take me way longer, and there's
To
gonna
all
be all
recipes
these,
or Southern living or something.
right, and there's
that's
gonna be
not-
all
yeah.
these ads, and like it's just too much. So definitely take some time and look through these whenever you have the QR code on your presentation, and really think through, like, if you're doing all these platforms, is it really necessary? Are you wasting your time? What kind of engagement do you get? Like, if you have Twitter, like, are people actually engaging with you? Like, who's seeing it? Just be strategic. I would say 1 to 3 platforms is realistically enough. So,
Oh, sorry, I fell down my job.
no, it's okay. Okay, so when you're trying to figure out what you're gonna post, you need to get on, you have to be on social media to know how to be trending or how to get people to like your content, right? So you need to identify your industry trends, stay up to date with what's going on, and then try to figure out how you can specify that to your niche. Just because if it's a dancing video and you feel like, oh, like that doesn't relate, like there's a way you can make it relate. And people will appreciate the extra effort that you went through to try to make that trend relate to your industry, right? Also, trending audio. That's a huge, huge thing. If you're not using trending audio, your reels and content are not going to do as good. Instagram and TikTok have implemented a feature where there's like a whole list. So you don't even have to search anymore. Like I used to have to go through and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll to find, you know, that little arrow means trending, or if it says popular, that means it's trending. I had to scroll forever and save things. But now there's a whole list. So there's no excuse not to use trending audio. But that boosts your content so much. So that'll be super helpful. Yes?
So I've made some reels on Facebook before, and I've used the music that they have provided.
Uh-huh.
But then when I try to go and boost it later, it says I can't because it's
Right.
copyrighted. So is there any, like,
Yes.
I would assume that if they're offering it, that would mean that I'm allowed to.
So there's a way around that for sure. So if it is like an actual copyrighted song, you cannot boost that. But there's trending audio that's called original audio. So that's some people have, you know, remixed the song, or there's these 2 DJs that I like, Altigo and I can't remember the exact name, but like they remix songs and it's all original audio, and then you can boost that original audio. So when I know that this post is something I'm going to have to boost, I'll always make sure to find original audio that's trending. And there'll be some in this list. And if you can't find some in this list, you have to go back to the old scroll. But you'll find one because there's a lot. And recently, Instagram has really been pushing original audios. So it's kind of a push and shove, right? I mean, you have to be a pretty big account to make a trending audio. So I usually just go with other people's, but every once in a while, make your own audio, or, you know, make sure you are talking, or if you come up with something creative, hey, you could be the next trending audio. But there are original audios that you can boost. That was a good question. So save those. On Instagram, you can make separate folders and stuff to save your content. So I make a folder for like real inspo so that I can save those trends and go back and look. So I can try to emulate those. And same thing with audio. You can save audio. So I would definitely utilize those tools for sure. Okay, content creation. One of the things that's kind of weird about social media is that they're super tailored to Apple. So I feel like most people have Apple products, but the select few that have Android, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for you. Make sure your settings are set like the right aspect ratio for social, or that's gonna mess you up, because like I used to have an Android and it can film a lot wider range than an Apple phone, and so that messes you up. But I would film in, no matter what kind of phone you have, I would always film in 4K 60 frames per second. Also on iPhone, they've implemented a new feature where you can now shoot in RAW. RAW is what, like, if you actually have like a real camera, that's what it shoots in, and it just gives you more capabilities for editing. If you shoot like in JPEG or whatever, it kind of already like generates editing for you, and there's not as much capabilities. So like if you wanted to use that iPhone photo, say in like an ad or professionally on your website or whatever, you were working with another team, they have more capabilities to edit that raw photo. So that'll help you in the long run, because iPhones these days take great content. We use iPhone photos all the time for ads, and a few years ago we wouldn't have, but the content and the quality, if you shoot in that you can use it for ads and basically whatever you want. Whenever you look at it online, you can kind of see the settings more closely. These are like my personal camera settings that I have on my phone when I shoot content. And then at the very top of that bar up there, when you're shooting video, you can change, there's like in the right-hand bar, you can change like what your resolution and your frames per second are. And like I said, 4K, 60 frames per second. Okay, content types. There are a lot of content types and they all do different things. So short form video is king. That is how you reach new followers. It not only gives it, like the algorithm not only pushes it to your current followers, but that's how you reach the new ones, right? If it sees that you're getting a lot of engagement or people are liking your post or people are saving it or sending it, it's gonna move you up in the level of the algorithm and it'll start pushing you out to new followers. So if you want to grow your account or grow your business, short form video is where it's at. Carousels actually recently, so a carousel is more than one photo that you can swipe through, like on Instagram. They've recently implemented where you can add music to that. And if you do add music to that, it'll now be pulled into the Reels feed. And on TikTok too, it'll be pulled into that feed too. And so that'll also help you reach those new followers, those new people for your business. So if you post a carousel, always, always, always put a song on it. Trending song. Singular photos, those are really just for your followers. Like if you have a quick announcement like, hey, we have to close early, or hey, we have a sale and you want your followers to know about it, or if you just don't have a lot of time and you just need to post a quick photo, that's realistically not going to reach new people, but that's going to help, maintain your current audience, which is also good. You don't want to forget about that. Stories, kind of the same concept. It's for your followers, but stories are where you can really make your business personal. I know that sounds awful and you feel like that shouldn't be in a sentence together, but I went to a social media conference in February and that was the number one thing they said. Make your business personal. Show behind the scenes. Like Katherine said, I mean, even as a Gen Z, I'm scared to get on there and talk, but get on there and be like, hey, this is what we got going on today, or I'm restocking the shelves. Like, it may seem super boring, but people love to see a day in the life. Mm-hmm. They want to know what you're doing, and they want to know the story behind the business, right? Like, if they know you personally and they feel invested in your life, they're more likely to come to your small business. I personally watch all of these influencers that I'm never going to meet, ever. And I know their kids' names, I know what they're doing, I know what they had for lunch. And I feel invested in their life. And people can do the same with your business. I know that sounds so weird, but you have to make your business personal because that's how people really, truly love your brand. So, and lastly, we have text posts like Twitter or Threads. Again, those are kind of more for your followers and also more meaty content, more insightful content. That's probably not going to get you as many followers, but if you want to share like a deeper story into that, I would definitely recommend pulling in, like Threads is owned by Meta, so you can pull in your thread to Instagram and Facebook, and that's a great way. I use it to, since quality of life is really shown on our Instagram, whereas like more of our business recruitment and retention efforts are shown on our LinkedIn, I use that kind of as a tie to pull in some of those more newsworthy things to our Instagram without our Instagram people being like, what is this? Like, this isn't fun, things to do, or them freak out. So it's a great way to pull in more insightful content to your social platform. Okay, editing. As you know, people have a very, very short attention span. You have like 1 to 3 seconds to catch their attention. So you have to come up with a good hook, like on your video, or you have to have good text on screen. Like we just posted about a job and that's what the first thing they saw, bright colors, text on screen that they could see, and it did great. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about that. Like if you're scrolling, what's going to make you stop? And then like I was looking at our analytics and really like the average watch time, even if the video is longer, is around 7 to 8 seconds. So whatever you want them to know, if you catch them in the first 3, they're only probably going to stay till 8. So just keep that in mind. Now, I told you to shoot in 4K, 60 frames per second, but social media does not like that. They only take 1080p 30 frames per second. So I recommend using CapCut. It's what I make all of our reels in. I use TikTok some to make quick reels and whatnot, but if you're really trying to like implement content across multiple platforms, I wouldn't recommend making it in a certain platform. Because like if you make it in TikTok and you download it out, it's gonna say that TikTok thing on there. And then Instagram doesn't like that because they don't want TikTok to do well. So I would make it in CapCut. It's very, very user-friendly. There's a free version. There's also a great paid version. I think it's like $100 a year. In my opinion, it's totally worth it. But the free version is great too. But at the top, there's like a little resolution button, and you can download in 1080p 30 frames per second, which is what you need to do, because if you upload a 4K 60 frames per second video to social media, it'll be blurry. But if you film in that, it'll look better, I promise. I know that sounds crazy, but it'll look better. Also, Canva. If you're not on Canva, get on Canva. That's free too. There's also a paid version that's great, but that's free. You can make, flyers for your sale, graphics, even, how I told you to put text on screen? You can make text on screen. If you want it to be all cute and you don't like the text that CapCut or Instagram has, you could make like a cute text on screen to put on your video. So if you're not utilizing Canva, you look it up now. And then lastly, those are just kind of video links, and certain ones kind of do better on certain platforms. Very long videos, like 3 minutes and up, really YouTube and honestly TikTok. People are on TikTok, like you can catch somebody on TikTok, like if it's about something that they Google searched on TikTok, you can keep them there. But really everything else, it all kind of goes for different platforms. So if you're interested about that, come talk to me, because I was going to put all the icons on there, but then it seemed like a lot, so didn't do that. Okay, now we're at the posting level. You think you're done, but you're not. There's a lot that goes into making sure that whenever you post something that you tag all the correct things so that your post shows up higher in the algorithm, right? So the more accounts that you can collaborate with and tag, the better. Like, I'm trying to think of an instance. So if you and another small business are working together for an event, or maybe you're bringing in a small business and they're having a pop-up, if you can make a post with them and invite them to be a collaborator, you can invite 3 collaborators. That not only shows it to your audience, but it also shows it to theirs. And so that is the #1 way to gain more followers, because you're showing it to triple the amount of people that would ever see it. Also, tagging people is great too, like even if they're like not directly involved in the content and they don't want it on their own page, but you want them, they were a part of it, tag them and they'll see it and reshare it, and that'll also help you gain more followers and engagement. Like I said earlier, the algorithm measures popularity based on engagement. So make sure you have that strong call to action in your caption. I mean, tell them what you want them to do. Like if you're like, oh, this is a cute video, and you post it, like they'd be like, oh yeah, but then they're not gonna do what you want them to do. I mean, you have to tell them. Like people need direction, and they'll take it if you tell them what to do. Optimal posting time. So this one's super controversial. I've seen people be like, oh, only post from this time to this time. But then like at that conference I went to, they were like, as long as they're not asleep, post. So I would just make sure you post, during normal wake hours. If it's like something, say if you're wanting to post about coffee, if you post that in the morning, that'd probably do better. Just kind of think of it like, when would you want to see this content? I wouldn't stress too much about that. The categories. So on Instagram and Facebook, and really all of them, there's categories for different things. Make sure you're filling out the location, and make sure that your trending audio is tagged. Sometimes you go through the whole process and it didn't actually tag your audio and you have to go back. Topics. Topics are a good one. So you can tell Instagram what your video is about, right? There's all these pre-made topics, but you have to be careful with that. If you pick the wrong topic or one that's kind of a stretch, it's gonna show your video to those types of people, and that may not be your right audience. So only pick a topic when you're like, that's 100% the topic that fits my content. I kind of put some stuff there. You can dive into deeper. One thing to make sure that's turned on, go to more options, and then it'll bring up this list. And at the bottom, it says upload at highest quality. Make sure that's turned on. Your videos will not be blurry if that is on. And lastly, giveaways. Giveaways are great. Everybody loves a good giveaway. We have one out there at our table right now. If you haven't entered, go enter. But it's a great way to get new followers and engagement. Make your account go higher in the algorithm, because it's like, oh my gosh, like 60 people just commented on their post. Like, they must be a great account. Let's push them up. So be mindful of that. Whatever you post after your giveaway, make sure it's something that you're like those new followers are going to like, so that you retain them. You don't lose them. Lastly, engagement. So you want people to engage with your content, you have to engage with others. Instagram wants you to use their platform, so they reward you for that. So if you go through and like people's posts and comment, they're going to reward you for being a great, social media user, whether that's Instagram, or I say Instagram a lot. I personally, I love Instagram, but any platform, like they're going to reward you for using their platform and engaging. So treat others the way you want to be treated. If you want them to like your stuff, like their stuff. But be mindful kind of what you're liking and commenting on. You want to kind of tailor that to your niche. So you want to find other businesses or other people that are like the people that you want to target, and follow them, and also engage with their content. So that teaches the algorithm, oh, this is the group they want to be in. Let's put them in this group and show their content to these types of people. So if you're on Reels and you're scrolling through and you're like, oh, that's a cute dog, and then you see your algorithm all of a sudden turn to cute dogs, is that going to help your business? No. So try to keep make sure you have a personal, for sure. Yes?
So even if they're competitors?
Yes. Because it teaches the algorithm that that's the type of business that you are. You don't necessarily have to comment like, oh, this is so cute on theirs if you don't want to, but at least follow them. And there's other people you could engage with, right? Like you could find the type of person, like if you want to really target the college kids, you could try to find the sororities and follow them and engage with some of their content. That would teach the algorithm. So there's ways around it. I get not wanting to, tell your competitor that their product is great when you want people to buy yours, but there's a way you can kind of do it. Liking is always good, and no one's really going to know if you like their content. So,
and consider the community groups. I mean, back when we talked about media relations, a lot of the reach that we have, especially in regards to social media, there's a lot of community groups here, local LPK, like people like that are just super involved and constantly creating content. Consider that as like one of the ones you might follow.
Yeah, local LPK, Lubbock in the Loop.
There's a lot of influencers that live here too.
Yeah. Even it doesn't necessarily, so I say like people in your niche or people in your communities, right? So you could follow other small businesses in Lubbock, whether that's your niche or not, that'll still help you reach that community. So just be mindful of who you're following and who you're engaging with. But like I said, engage. Let's see. All right. That's kind of it. Do y'all have any other questions about anything?
Sorry, I should have warned you. My bad. Sorry. Should have given you a heads up.
Yes.
What if your business is boring?
You can make, I promise, there is a way to make it not boring. What is your business?
Bookkeeping, accounting.
Okay. Have you seen, there is this group, these two men on TikTok that they're HR men.
Oh my gosh,
right?
That's so funny.
And they're going viral for singing songs about HR. Like they're changing songs and it's HR. Who thought HR was cool? Yep, and they get up there and sing about different HR. Yeah, they're like, don't touch this, and they're like to each other. Like it's hilarious. So I promise there's a way if you. That's part of the making sure that you're on social and finding those trends. Like, because you could make a trend be relevant to that. There's one guy that literally he says he's this boring corporate guy, right? And he's gone viral, and he's now an influencer for being the boring corporate guy. And he's like, I want to quit my boring corporate job now because I make enough money on Instagram, but I can't because that's my whole spill. So. And like I said earlier, make your business personal. Like people actually care about like what you're doing in your life. Like even if you wanted to do a day in the life, like what do? Do you get up, make coffee? Do you work out? Like, you could do a day in the life. Like, hey, I went to this coffee shop, got my coffee, now I'm at work, and then after work you go work out, and then you go home. People want to see that process. So there are ways to make your business interesting. You just have to think about it. Anything else?
And you do it every day, so you may not think it's that interesting. Someone else like me, I love to-do lists, and so sometimes I'll watch videos. It sounds so silly, but I'll watch videos where it's like someone's like marking something out, and then just weird sounds, weird things, like, you know what I mean? It's like type A people love that kind of stuff where it's like you're accomplishing something. Or there's like some girls that they shoot videos literally of like restocking their office, and they just have cute pens and cute organization stuff, and it's just like a video we watch because it's cute, and it inspires me to be organized, and I'm not organized, and maybe I will be, but at least I'm living through her.
Yeah.
I have a question, because like those videos that you're talking about, and they make the noises of stuff snapping. How do they do that, though? I mean,
You want to tell her?
where do you find that?
So, like these little lapel mics, you can order little mics or whatever. That's how they're getting that really crisp sound that everybody wants to hear.
Yeah.
And they're really not as expensive as you would think they are.
Okay.
And then you just, I don't know what your business is, but if you wanted to snap something, you just make sure that the mic is close, and then you can just snap and use CapCut, edit them together. With that lapel, there's probably like an app that puts the audio separately. You just upload that to CapCut, match it up, good to go. So, well, it sounds difficult. I promise CapCut is super user-friendly. So when I started this job, I had never made a reel, ever.
Y'all should go look at LEDA's social, because I don't think you're understanding the impact of what she's saying. Like, she does incredible content, and she had never made a video, like a reel, before.
Yeah, and so literally, like, I just dove headfirst with CapCut, and just, there's so many videos too. I say use TikTok as a resource. Go to TikTok, look up CapCut tutorials. People make tutorials. There's templates on CapCut. If you don't even want to make your own, there's a whole page of templates. You just upload you just click the template you want, upload your like 5 videos or whatever, and it's done. So it's super user friendly. It seems scary. That page I showed looks scary. Probably shouldn't have showed that screenshot of it, but I promise, just download it and start messing around with it, and you'll get the hang of it. It's so much easier. I hate Instagram's video editing. It never works out. The text never lines up with my music. It's terrible. I wouldn't use it. TikTok's okay, but like I said, if you download it from TikTok, the other platforms aren't gonna like it. So CapCut's where it's at. So there's also a desktop version of CapCut. So if you don't want to do it all on your phone, you can do it on your computer.
What about negative comments? Engage or ignore?
It depends on the negativity. If it's like profane or inappropriate, delete. If it's something you don't necessarily like, but you feel like you could rebuttal it in like a nice, like, correct them. I mean, if you feel like you could do it in a nice way, an appropriate way, maybe they just don't know. A lot of people don't. They'd be like, hey, like, that's actually not true. Here's the reason, or hey, make sure you check this out. Sometimes I hide comments, like if I feel like it's just like on the borderline of like something I probably couldn't argue with them about. There's a really fun button that you click hide, and they don't know you hid their content. And when they go to your page, it looks like it's still there, but to other people, it's not. So, but there's fun ways you can comment back to people. I know we want to do it a lot, but I have to. If I was my own person.
Well, and to that point, I mean, you, I'm sure, have community advocates, or friends or, family members that could get on and say something back. And again, maybe, it's not hateful, right? To say, like, don't say something back hateful.
Right.
But, to our point, people, would say something about living in Lubbock, and then someone, it's actually happening more and more, thankfully, now, but someone will say, I love living in Lubbock. Like, I'm sorry you don't. Maybe you should go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, it's not trying to be rude or anything, but a lot of times you have those people that can comment to those, and honestly, you might start seeing more organic comments back, like we're seeing now.
Well, and like I said earlier, engagement is what the algorithm wants, so even if it's a bad comment, it's helping you. So, anything else? Y'all have the QR code. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have one more.
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm just asking from a small business perspective, I've seen more and more using the like at everyone or at highlight or whatever. And personally, I tend to go like unfollow those things. And so like,
I don't do that. It personally annoys me too.
Yeah.
People do it to me all the time, and I'm like, I don't.
Like for giveaways?
On Facebook, you can at everyone, and it
yeah.
alerts
It's a
everybody that
notification.
follows you that you've tagged them.
Yeah.
And
but
it's,
maybe other people like it. I guess that's what I'm asking. Do
So-
people actually like it?
No.
I don't think so. And if you're gonna do it, once every 6 months. Like something that's super, super, super important. Like don't do it all the time.
I just remember you liked it at one point, so that at everyone, yes, don't use it like every day.
Yeah.
But you did like them at one point, and so that got you in the door with them. It's gonna be the same thing for your clients as well, like, so like giveaways, bigger things, cause
Yeah.
we use it, but very limited.
Yeah.
And it has been beneficial.
Yeah, for sure.
I use it more for like, I have a private Facebook page that's for, like a girls organization. So if I
Yeah.
post something like an event, or I have a poll that I need them to take, I'll do it then.
Yeah.
So that it pops up to them, but if it's, not something I need like immediate attention on, then I won't use it on my business Facebook.
100%. I mean, you think about how many times you want to be tagged and be mindful of
Or
that
you
when
get
you're
sad that
using
you
it.
missed it, like you see it after
Yeah.
the fact, you're like, oh, if I had
Yeah.
known, I would've gone.
Yeah.
So if it's something like that, I think.
Super important things for sure, but not every post or not every sale. Like people get tired of it. So that was a good question.
I'm on a few social media pages, but some influencers talk about Pinterest. Is anyone still, I know when we're looking up certain things, we go on Pinterest, but does anyone still use?
Pinterest is still used. I almost included that
I was
one.
like, I didn't see it.
It depends on what your business is. If you have products, I would probably use Pinterest because you can link it directly to your page, like to the actual product that you're trying to sell. But you have to think about like who the user is on Pinterest. It's probably older, millennials,
Female.
maybe older than that. So if that's your audience, go for it. If you're wanting to target, college, Gen Z, probably TikTok. But Pinterest, like personal story, I am trying to sell digital designs right now on Etsy, like invitations, things that you can buy a template for. And one of the things that I'm utilizing is Pinterest because that's where those people that want the template that don't want to make them themselves, that's
Yeah.
where they're going to go to look is Pinterest. So like that first slide that I said, I knew I should have included Pinterest. Like I was like, I almost put it on there, but I was like, maybe not. Like we don't use it as LEDA. I know
It's very product based though, right?
it is.
'Cause
It's for
yeah.
products, which I was like, crap, I should have put it on there. But
No, it's funny you say that because even being like a millennial female, I use Pinterest for like design if I'm redoing my kitchen or something. That or Christmas lists. Literally, I create a board. Sounds terrible, but I create a board and send to my family, and I'm like, hey, here are like a Stanley water cup I like, or this like suggested things so you don't just get me something random.
yeah,
And it has what I love though, and what they love, my mother-in-law really, is that it links to the exact product on their website that she can literally go buy it. It's so super simple. It's not like me texting her like, hey, I'd love a red sweater. It's like, this is what I would love. And she loves it. So I literally use it for products.
Yeah,
Like purchasing
so-
products.
purchasing products, but there's a love-hate relationship with that, right? Like you want the sale, but at the same time, you don't really retain them as an audience. You may get the sale and you may never see them again. So I wouldn't discredit it. I would use it if you were selling certain products. You also have to be mindful about people on Pinterest want pretty content. So if your picture of your product sucks, people aren't gonna like it. So you have to like curate your content a lot more on Pinterest than if you're on TikTok. TikTok is so much more like on the fly, take a video, doesn't have to be as polished. Pinterest has to be super polished, has to look really pretty, all of that mess.
So can you just copy all your content from Instagram?
You could. That's why don't make it in Instagram Reels, make it in CapCut so you can do that. Because Pinterest also likes videos too. So, but yes, that's a good one. I knew I should have included Pinterest. But
maybe it's.
Yeah. We don't I know Visit Lubbock uses it, but LEDA doesn't. So I think that's why I didn't put it on there. But definitely, if you have products, try to get your pretty, shots that you put on your website for your e-commerce, put them on there with the link. Yes.
About LEDA, is that a government organization or is it like a nonprofit? How are you funded?
We're quasi, so we're overseen by a board, but our budget is approved by the city council.
Anything else?
And I'm sorry, so to speak specifically how we're funded, Market Lubbock's funded through property tax, LEDA's funded through sales tax, and our CVB is funded through hotel occupancy tax.
I'll ask one question.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience with actually finding followers, or not, influencers?
Visit Lubbock works a lot with different influencers. They bring them in. You could probably speak to better that than me.
How do I say this? So it's interesting because when influencers first became a thing, it was much more, in my opinion, attainable to work with them. I'm not saying it's not, but now you go into contract, you've got pretty high contracts typically, especially if they've got good enough following. To be very honest, I think you should talk about your day in the life because that is an example of working with an influencer, but it'll make more sense when she explains it. But the influencer has changed now. I mean, yes, like there are influencers that have significant followings, but I think because of the prominence of social media, really and truly, the day in the life is a good example. Everyone has some type of influence, right? Like within their group or whatnot. And because of social media, you can reach more people now. So she had a really cool project that was a day in the life that nominal cost, I mean, hardly anything as far as like the, what we might be paying someone to create the video for us. But you wanna go to that?
So kind of like I told you, like show a day in your life. I have been doing this fun series where I'm trying to show people what life in Lubbock is like. And so what better way to do that is work with different people that actually live here and them share what they do throughout their day here. So we've worked with several different people from that don't really have a following to people that have, 10,000, 25,000, in that range. Not really like any of those high level, like Katherine says, they're so expensive. I mean, if you think about it though, they kind of have to be because those people don't do anything else. Right. So it's fair. I mean, that's their job. Like how much do you get paid? Like you think about, how much they have to make per video, like it's fair. Mm-hmm. And if you can attain that, go for it. Like if some of them love to support small businesses. So I see a lot of like actual influencers like open PR boxes and they show like what they got. Like, oh, look what just came. Like this company is so cute. Like look what they sent for my kid. Or they embroidered this name on here and I'm going to show them. So there's a chance, but like Katherine said, like with social media and the way that the algorithm works now, it's boosting your content to people that don't necessarily follow you. So just because that person doesn't have a following themselves, their day might be super interesting and it could go like people could like it. It could go, I'm not going to say viral. It could, because viral, no, I mean, I'm not viral. No, most people aren't viral if you think about that. So I hate using that term, but it could get boosted up in the algorithm and you could get like a significant amount of engagement. But we worked with a guy at Tech. He is on the videography team for the athletics department. And he did a little day in life. It was like $200 and he did the whole thing himself. It came and it was perfect and I just posted it. But we've also worked for other people in the community that just want to share their life in Lubbock for free. Like there's one guy that's making a video right now and he's a beekeeper. So it's going to be like what he does to maintain the bees and, with the honey and all that. I mean, I would want to watch that. So there's ways to like work with influencers, even if it's like, say your product is that cup, right? And you want to show somebody that actually uses that cup, but you find someone that's influential in your community. Like, I don't know, trying to think.
Yeah, well, so one example I would say, like if you, I'm totally judging you based off your cute blouse, but if you have a cute boutique,
Right.
Which I'll be really impressed if I just nailed it. But if you have a cute boutique and that's what you're trying to like bring people to come see, like reach out to one of the sororities and say, hey, like, they've got reach out to the president of the social share and say, hey, I'll offer y'all 10% off. Come do a video at my boutique and I'll have, I was gonna say juice, or I'll have like snacks or something, and y'all can come and shop. And for Mother's Day, like, I'll do 10% off, and create like events. So blend like social media with events. Consider groups like that, whatever your audience might be, maybe like a group of sorority girls, like those influencers, because again, those girls have an audience and they have the audience that you want. Because a lot of times when you look at those influencers that, again, they work and they deserve every bit of it, but like that have like 70,000, 100,000 followers, like they may not have the audience that you want. They may be so big that their audience is too wide for you. You're a small business. You want to get the people here in Lubbock boosting your sales. And so it's rethinking like who that influencer would be.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm really working hard to get our account over 10,000 followers, because once you get over that, I feel like things just kind of are easier for you. That struggle is talked about all the time on social media, is like trying to hit 10,000, like trying to get there. Because once you get there, the algorithm learns like, oh, you're important, and it kind of boosts you up. But before that, it's hard. It's super hard to get your content up, but it's not impossible. The number one rule is you just have to be consistent. Like if you post every day, then you need to keep that up. Or if you only post 2 times a week, then you need to keep that up, because it will learn like, okay, they only post this much, so this is how much engagement we're going to give them, and it'll eventually work out. But that was literally the number one rule that they told us at that conference with actual influencers that are talking to me, is just be consistent. Do what you can do and just keep up with it. But yeah, I mean, there's so many influential people in this community that would want to make a video, and like sororities, or even like students at tech, a lot of them want to have some kind of side career, or maybe they want to be an influencer. They'll make content for you for free. Like if you reach out and you're like, hey, you see a cute girl's account, and you're like, hey, would you, take a picture with this cup, or would you want to make a video with us, or whatever. Almost a lot of the time they're gonna be like, yeah, that's so exciting, because you're a business, and to them that's like credibility. And then to them, they're like, oh, I could put that on my resume. It's like, I made content for this business. And so there's a lot of ways to get influencer content without paying the big bucks. Like Katherine said earlier, like local LBK and Lubbock in the Loop, just making sure that I appreciate when people tag LEDA in things, because it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on in Lubbock. And like with that new events page, like I try to add things to it, or jobs that I see, but like I can't see everything. And so if you tag those big influencers, like on big important things, kind of like with the @all_followers thing, not all the time, but like on your big things that you want more people to know about, that'll help those influential people in your community know what's going on and be able to also tell your message. So.
Gave a lot of information, yeah.
Is it worth it to have a verified badge?
I mean, I don't really think so.
I feel like I'm seeing it less and less.
I'm seeing it less and less, since so the credibility went away when you could pay for it. It was something before then, because everybody wanted it bad, and once you got to a certain amount of followers, then they verified you. But now that you can pay for it, like, why would you want that? I think it gives you some extra certain little benefits, but realistically, Meta is not known for being super responsive if you're having a problem. So I really don't know how much that's going to help. I'm not verified through LEDA. Most other accounts that I see aren't verified. When I do see somebody that's verified, then I'm like, oh, like why are they verified? And I look and I'm like, oh, they paid for it, and I just leave. So.
When people land on an account, you look at the content, right? And it tells you like, oh, it's a bot, or oh, that seems like a not a true account, or something like that.
They'll be able to tell that it's your business. Like if you're worried about credibility, like people knowing that, oh, this is actually the business, like they'll be able to tell. And because and realistically, like who's gonna copy your business? Like, and if they are, like if they're having your links on there, it's better for you. So. But yeah, with like influencers or like celebrities, yeah, it makes sense. You want to know if it's real. There's a ton of fake accounts for them. People exactly copy their account. But if that happens to one of you, I'd be super surprised. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
I don't even know what time it is. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here.